Welcome back, everybody, to Tomb Raider.
Welcome.
Talking about art and level design.
I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
While you're playing.
Please.
Tell me about the mood that you feel is being communicated right now. The mood, the theme.
Right now, a sense of being a bit lost, hopeless, kind of scared in a large, foreboding place.
What's the environment telling you that's reinforcing that?
Let's see. Dark, mostly desaturated, looks just like wet and cold and rainy.
I just love that right there. You're literally being oppressed and compressed by this rock overhang.
Yes.
But yeah, that's one of the main things that another one of those tricky things we were talking about last episode of coordinating the different departments that make a game is how well are we sticking to a theme and the arc that the character is going through or that the mechanics are taking you through.
Please respond.
That makes sense. I've not had the opportunity to work on a game that is largely linear like this. Mm-hmm. So I've not got firsthand experience working in that kind of pipeline that requires that level of communication of like everyone working together to establish mood for this point in the like kind of pacing curve of the game.
Yeah, different types of games certainly have more or less need of this. You know, I work on pretty much a what's the opposite of the sandbox? The theme, the theme park.
There you go. Yes.
MMO, and that's a lot of wide open expanses, right? So there's still a chance to make places feel distinct and unique through mood and theme. But they're not tied as closely to your character,
right?
And the arc that the designers want your character to go through. But yeah, so these kind of AAA linear games, call them linear edited narratives, do present these unique opportunities and challenges.
Here's the soon-to-be.
And the best ones, I'd put this up here with the Uncharted games.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell that they definitely have a director, a vision holder that's coordinating all these things together.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just trying to lighten the mood here.
Seems like it would have to.
So on edge. What are you so worried about?
Well, there are games in this same genre that definitely don't keep things as cohesive.
Sure.
So, no, you don't have to.
Okay, maybe you should. Maybe
the successful ones do.
Right.
I trust you. Roth trusts you. You got this. Now let's take a break, okay?
And why is her face so dirty here? This is before all the adventuring, right?
That is a good question. Yes, this is before all the adventuring. That seems like an error, mostly.
Big pet peeve of mine. This really stuck out to me in L.A. Noire, the not hit game from 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Where they have, it's noir, so everyone's got hats, but the iconic thing about noir is the shadow that the brim of the hat casts across the face, right? So they have this just, cutting edge, state of the art facial motion capture technology, but there's no shadows under the hat or in the nostrils or in the mouth.
Yeah,
so like
very evenly
the
lit
tongue
faces.
and everything is like full lit as.
Just no self-shadow stuff on the face.
But
I am surprised they didn't apply that in post. Like, obviously they couldn't have during their whole face capture session because they couldn't have known exactly the lighting of the scene for all of this stuff. But surely, I don't know. I guess it was a 360 PC, PS3 era game, but still.
Even in this, I was noticing when the lady had the camera in the mirror and you were watching her talk and it just looked like her tongue was sticking out the whole time because it was full bright. And, you can solve that by baking shadow into the tongue, which then is problematic if they open their mouth wide, then it looks like they have a dirty tongue.
Sure.
Although we also have the ability to fade textures in and out as needed. So it's one of those things where not my specialty, so I really probably shouldn't be complaining too much. I mean, I'm sure there's a good reason that it's not. It's just a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, like it's because again, most lighting in games is not real time, like real time ray traced rendered stuff like it would be in a film. You kind of have to cheat and bake a lot of lighting in, and so shadows are a lot of the time not necessarily. At least not all of the shadowing that you would expect is not rendered and computed in real time, which means that unless they have baked in and painted the inside of the mouth darker, like it's always not getting lit very much, then thus the problem you mentioned.
Yeah. That the baking in shadows, that's called ambient occlusion, and that's where it the computer makes all the tough calculations that you don't want to make in real time, and then actually applies darker, spots, areas to your texture. So depending on how powerful and quick your lighting engine is, you'll do more or less of that. Certainly in environments, that's really common. Like, go up to any rock that's lit well. Right. Everything's very dappled lighting around here. But
let's find some more rocks.
If you look at the base where the rock meets the ground, if there's kind of a nice transition between those two, that's probably baked ambient occlusion in the map.
Okay. Would some shadows and lighting be just painted right into the textures?
That's kind of rare nowadays. We try to avoid that because there's so much physically based rendering that can be done now, where it's like, we have specularity maps and there are so many.
All the maps.
So many maps. So yeah, we try to avoid that now.
Okay. So that's more of like an old school sort of a technique then.
But certainly on a map-wide thing, like ambient occlusion will be baked on, and then that's a separate set of UVs or a separate, how do you say that in non-lingo terms?
It's very difficult.
But yeah, so that it's basically a separate mask that gets applied to the whole map.
Okay.
And that helps to bring everything together. You can definitely tell it in games that don't have it. There'll be very bright line between, a rock in the ground or a building and a rock that's sticking out of the building or whatever, that sort of thing. She's very timid about that dead guy she just knocked out of the tree.
Yeah. I do love just in terms of the writing, I love the repeated mantra they gave Lara of the I can do this. That kind of just same line that just kind of changes meaning as the game goes on. Mm-hmm. Like, good job, Brianna Pratchett. It's really nice. All right. Where am I headed? Oh, I guess I need to kill a deer, don't I? Yep.
Yeah, so this is your first experience in a semi-open area. This is about as open as Tomb Raider gets as far as, putting you into a less cramped hallway. It's a wide open hallway.
Arrows lying about. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Find deer.
So let's talk about power-ups and stuff like that. So there's another verisimilitude issue. Get that deer. Pop, pop, pop. Oh, not in the butt. Come on.
Hello, other deer. Where'd he go?
Yeah, so ammo laying around, health, power-ups, all that kind of stuff. Different games try to varying degrees to weave that into the fiction of the narrative, right? You have your classic first-person shooters like Quake and Doom, going back to Wolfenstein and all those, and power-ups are just kind of these magical floating items that you run over and they magically fill you up. To me, that's kind of like on the cutting edge of the uncanny valley, the new uncanny valley that we have in design, right? Just to establish, I'm pretty sure everyone listening now knows the classic uncanny valley is this idea that the more realistic a character is without quite being 100% realistic, then they kind of come off as creepy.
Yeah.
And I think we have a similar thing going on in design right now where the visuals are so crisp and clean, that the gamey elements are standing out as more and more silly. Not creepy, but silly.
That's actually, the Uncanny Valley is a good point of comparison for that, I think, actually. Yeah. That is the thing that comes up a lot now. Mm-hmm. And I guess it has been even for Uncharted for a while. Like, it is gamey for Drake to be shooting hundreds of dudes, and it feels like it reflects on his character a bit, but
yeah,
but it's a video game, and it's what you expect to do in a shooter style video game. But now it looks really realistic, and it kind of, in terms of character, feels weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so there's these accepted game mechanics that are accepted because they so widely by so many different game studios and players because they work so well. But they are incredibly gamey. You know, ever since Halo, you hide behind a wall after you're shot, and 5 seconds later you're completely fine. And, you know, power armor, sure, there's some hand-wavy stuff going on, but a game like this and Uncharted, you know, it just makes no sense whatsoever.
No, it doesn't.
And it's just okay, right?
Sure.
You just accept it because
that is
it's
the rules
fun
of the game. That's
shooting
fine.
and jumping and hiding.
Yep.
So here's a good puzzle about how to get into a place that's not open, right?
Oh, this place right here?
Yeah. I feel like...
Am I supposed to be able to? It looks like I should be able to.
Yeah, I remember getting in there.
Oh.
I don't remember how.
So maybe not the main door.
Although this may be one of those places where the Metroidvania style thing where you got to come back and power up later and you can pull the door open.
I forgot this game does kind of do that. Yeah, that may be the... we'll see. We'll see if I end up coming back. Camp is this way. Okay.
One of the things I really liked that we're starting to get a hint of on this game is and I feel like this had to be not a compromise, but kind of a synergistic. I hate using that word now.
It's fine.
There's a better word for it. A collaboration. Let's call it that.
Nice.
Between the artists and the writers, where we're like, okay, we have to make this world. We're trying to make this particular type of environment that has these particular mechanics in it. How do we justify certain elements? And one of the things they did is there's Flotsam and Jetsam, all of one of those two, actually, because there's a technical differentiation between the two.
Yeah.
But whatever there is, you know, there's all these boats and ships that have been crashed up on this island. So there's a lot of stuff built out of these kind of materials. And so that buys the level artists some really valuable mileage. It gives them the ability to have a really consistent visual language, you know, with the colors, with the type of materials and that kind of stuff. And it also, in my mind, makes the story more interesting.
This is Conrad Roth.
Well, let's watch this.
Oh, okay.
We're shipwrecked on an island inside the Dragon's Triangle.
Roth!
Lara,
You're alive!
easy. Are you okay? What happened?
I remember the beach. Then it went black and I woke up in a cave. There was this crazy man, Roth, and a dead body.
Oh, God. Where are you now, Lara? Are you safe?
It was so horrible. It's all my fault.
That reminds me, one thing that did not happen in this game is the first time she saw a dead body, she did not scream like every woman in a movie or TV show that ever sees a dead body.
I hadn't even thought of that, but you're right.
Yeah,
That's
you know
nice.
what brought that to mind is my wife will put on Murder, She Wrote to go to sleep. So I'll be working on the computer and Murder, She Wrote will be on in the background. And every episode that a woman finds the body,
Like clockwork.
I feel like it's the same like library scream sound.
like the actress isn't even doing the scream.
Yeah, it's just like the opening closing door or the child giggle that's in every, you know.
Now that you've said it, next time I see Murder, She Wrote, it's all I will see and hear.
So, note the environment right now. This is not real-time day-night, if I recall.
I don't think so.
This is controlled by the artist. Okay, so she just had her first conversation with a human that she knows, she's familiar with. Now the rain has stopped. Oh, look at that! That door's open.
Oh. Well, there you go. Lit from inside to draw attention.
Yeah, so it's not happy, but the environment has let up. to a certain extent, right? And so that's another point where the teams are working together.
Very nice. Subtle, too.
Damn it.
All the detritus that's around in this game, the bottles and cans and bits of shell and all that kind of stuff, again, that works on both fronts, the storytelling and the environment thing. One thing that really helps as a level artist is to have that kind of crap that you can shove into corners. Without it, you see a lot more of it's interpenetration, where it's like one prop just
geometry,
sticks through another prop, right?
Just 3D, yeah.
And it's just a reality of, we can't custom model an entire level, every piece unique. So if you look at those boards with rope wrapped around them, they probably have a set of, maybe 5 or 10 of these wooden beams, and they're, well, we call it kludging together. That's one of the tricky things is also in the game industry.
We do not have enough lingo yet. Or we have too much in some places and not enough in others.
Exactly. It's not unified is what it comes down to. We're a young enough industry where that still hasn't been established. So.
Yeah.
Some people call that greebles, but then greebles are also like the technical little panels and stuff that you see on spaceships. And so,
I hadn't even heard that term before. Greebles.
I want to say at Blizzard, they still call props doodads, or at least they did several years ago when I had a friend who came from there.
Doodads. That's adorable.
Yeah. So anyway, having all this, clutter. Let's just call it clutter. Everyone understands that.
That's nice and generic.
It's super helpful because the more visual noise you have in there, the less look where that beam is intersecting that other beam up to your right there in the middle top of it.
Right there.
That makes no sense, right? That metal is like going through the other metal, but the more roots and rocks and drips and stuff like that, you just don't notice it.
Right.
So.
That's a nice little bit of storytelling there.
There's a clue for you.
I like it.
I love the torches that are upside down World War II helmets. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a clever idea.
Oh God, this is insane.
I'm trying to remember if they stay pretty realistic with the... No, I don't think they do.
There are traces of white paint on the inside. Whoever used this mask was of no...
The way they'll have torches and candles lit everywhere, right? That's kind of another conceit that's used in film a lot as well. There's a really good video by Lindy Beige. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he does a lot of examination of medieval and fantasy tropes.
Oh, yeah.
He was talking about torches and how, what they really are and how effective they are and how terrible they would be at lighting interiors because they're essentially burning pitch, which smells like burning pitch, and they'll last about 15 minutes.
What would they have used instead?
Candles.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Mostly. And so let's see. So that prop completely dissolved into nothing.
Yeah.
That is unsatisfying.
You kind of just want to see a little bit of like burning embers remaining behind.
It's like, like when you kill a bad guy and then he just kind of dissipates.
Just vanishes and stuff. Yeah.
You could really see with the torchlight, the inside of her eyes and her bottom eyelids just they light up so wrong at certain angles when you get close because the light's like shining through the eyeball onto the inside of the eye socket. It's disconcerting.
Yeah,
but again, it all goes back to the Uncanny Valley thing, right? It's like I'm sure they could have spent another. However many CPU cycles and more textures and more, all this other stuff to fix that problem. Is it worth it? Most people probably wouldn't.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, to avoid the Uncanny Valley thing, really only one or two things has to go slightly wrong. And there are so many things, period, that like you could spend the entire development cycle trying to just keep any one thing from going wrong with the art and the lighting and everything on just Lara's character, ignoring everything else. It's just an impossibly expensive task to completely resolve.
Yeah. I imagine a lot of the frustration that we as developers feel about this sort of thing is akin to, early film and the limitations that they had in editing and stuff, where, film has physical limitations where it will fall apart if you keep cutting it and taping it and cutting it and taping it.
Yep.
And so there's certain things you just can't do that they would have loved to have done, if they had computers or digital cameras and that kind of stuff. And so we're at that stage where we know we can do better, or we will be able to do better at some point. So it's frustrating to see those things that it's like, anyone can pick at and say, well, why don't you just fix that?
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, we see it too.
In 10 years, you won't see this anymore, because we'll have figured out, like, our tools will have gotten better, or just the tech will have gotten better, and we'll have solved it. And that'll just be the artifact that you'll see in these old games.
Sorry if I startled you. This place would make anyone a little jumpy.
It's occurring to me that a lot of the story of this game has a lot of allusions to Lost, the television program.
Oh, yeah.
Which I really enjoyed the first couple seasons.
I think we all did.
It's one of those things where they found a really neat, newish. I want to call it a mechanic. That's not what it is. Whatever it is for writing.
Sure.
Right? And then shows over the past 10 years have been doing it so much that it's just kind of annoying now, especially when you know that the chances of a show going more than a season or two are so slim.
Yeah.
And they'll start with a huge mystery. And to me, I'm just like, I don't even want to get invested.
Yeah. No, I loved the first season. Like, I liked Lost when it mostly was, for the most part, just a story of a bunch of survivors of a plane crash trying to figure out how to survive in a weird space. And there were a few things that were kind of like, this island's kind of weird. But it was all vague and in the distance. It's like, as soon as it became more about those mysteries, I started kind of losing interest.
I think I enjoyed the mysteries up until the point when I realized, the problem is that every potential answer to this has been done before.
Yeah.
It's either going to be aliens, it's either going to be, a head trip, or it's going to be, an afterlife, a spiritual thing. It's like everything has been done in many movies and TV shows before.
Like, the odds of them coming up with an original answer to all of these questions is incredibly slim. Right. I'm in for disappointment.
Yeah, and I think that's why those kind of mystery shows don't grab me anymore.
That makes sense. All right, you know what? We're going to call it for this episode, and we are going to come back soon with some more. This is fun.
Good times.
Good times.
See you guys.
Ow. Cutscene. I guess ending on a cutscene is not smart. This stuff happens.